Hi everybody, welcome. I am Karen with the Noble Willow, and last night I started this really sweet little buffet that I'm going to continue working on this week. I'm probably going to go tomorrow night, and we'll see how far I get. But for the sake of time, well, for the sake of instruction, I'm going to wait until a couple of you pop on. I have my Hannah here.
Hello.
So she'll be answering any questions that you might have. Feel free to leave them in the comments. Alrighty. So last night I started with vintage linen, which is this white. And so I'm going to just go ahead and start. Everybody, I'm really going to just do the same thing I did last night, depending upon how far I get. We'll see how far I go. And then I may go back and decide what else I'm going to do. I can just leave it just like this, or I might just want to add a couple little special details, maybe some golden ticket. I am a DIY paint retailer for Debbie's Design Diary. It's her paint. It's a wonderful artistic paint. I sell that in my Rogers store location at the Vis-a-Vis Gallerias. So if you want to know what colors I've used so far, I've used vintage linen, which is white. I mixed two colors. Bohemian blue, which is a very, very dark blue, and then I mixed some mint chip in, which is a light turquoise. It's a light minty color. I mixed those two together, and that's this bottom. It made a really, really pretty blue, and then I went over the top with Farm Fresh, which is kind of a greenish blue. Then I dry brushed it with some white, highlighted it with some bohemian blue. So those are the steps that I did. I'm going to repeat those same steps here. So again, feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks for popping on.
Sheila said hello from Southern Illinois. I figured it out.
Hi Sheila. Thanks for popping back on. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I like to dampen my brush just a little bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and start painting. If you guys have questions, Hannah will read them off. I'd also too like to know more about you guys. Are you fellow furniture painters? Are you interested in learning how to paint? Do you want to learn how to use this particular brand? I would love to know who is out there, who these lives are geared towards. You know, who's my audience? That way I can be sure to make sure I'm adding what you guys need. If you're beginners, you've never done this before, you think it's interesting, you want to know why I do certain things, let me know in the comments.
Leanne said, oh yes, I caught you live.
Who's that?
Leanne Miller.
Oh, okay. Hi, Leanne. Welcome.
And Juanita said hello from Australia, and that she's a painter.
Awesome. Thank you. So basically, you just want to learn more techniques or see how other people do it, get some good ideas. Does that sound about right? Okay, so I'm just putting this first coat on. I did take the hardware off because I haven't decided if I'm going to use it yet or what I'm going to do with it. So I just want to make sure that the whole drawer is covered. Okay.
Juanita said, I'm at work, feeling like watching other people do what I do.
Oh, nice.
And Leanne said that she's a beginner at painting furniture.
All right. So I have already prepped this piece before I paint anything. I clean it really good. I used TSP on this. And then I rinsed it off really well with water to remove any residue. I'll probably be switching to a milder cleaner when I'm out of this stuff, but for now that's what I'm using. I haven't had any problems with it as far as any kind of reaction with my paint. I've never had any problems.
Maddie said hi.
Hi Maddie, thanks for joining.
And Juanita said that she loves your accent.
My accent. I was born in Iowa. I've been a Texan since '96, and it's just that Midwestern thing is just not going away. I don't hear it.
I actually had no idea. And I've been talking to you this whole time. I just thought, oh, that just must be the way she talks.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. So I'm just making sure that the whole piece is covered. We'll see how far I get in this. I'm going to do 45 minutes again and see how far I get with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with the top yet. I'll most likely be painting this one, but I haven't decided. I had another bedroom set dresser that I did in a beachy look, and I actually did paint the top, but I did it in multiple dark colors, grays, chocolate, I think some sandy blonde, which is a lighter tan. It's kind of like a sandy color. And I made it look like driftwood. So I may do that same thing with this piece. It just kind of calls for that beachy look.
Sheila said that you were an inspiration to me. Painted everything 40 years ago, now at 62. Building a new house and painting pieces for it. Maybe it can lead into a business.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I absolutely love it. I just can't imagine. It's just made my life so much fuller and more exciting. I don't know why. But I absolutely just love it. But the coolest part too is that other people love it. And so I get to share in that enthusiasm with other people. All right, I'm just going to keep moving along here. Now with some dressers, I make sure that I pull out the drawers to make sure, you know, like these I don't have to pull out because they're not going to stick. But if they were sitting in further, I could paint them shut. And then it just makes my life a little bit more difficult. So I'm just going to keep on moving along this piece. Since now that I know what I'm doing, and I really need this to dry good. So while this is drying, I can be concentrating over here. And this isn't the best angle for me. I normally like to be sitting on my little automotive twirling chair.
Your
stool,
little rolly chair.
My rolly chair. And it's just the best angle for me, but I will make do because this piece is so low and it's incredibly heavy. I considered putting it up on like sawhorses or something, but that was just too much to ask.
Leanne said, "You are such an inspiration. I'm considering going live myself tomorrow on Facebook. I'm
Aww.
so nervous, but you make it look so easy."
Well, thank you. I so appreciate that. Really, it's getting through the nerves and just powering through it. This was absolutely the last thing I ever wanted to do in my whole life. If you would have asked me a year ago, or told me a year ago, that I would be going live, painting live on Facebook, I would have said you don't know me at all, because that is not me. And I went live for the first time a couple months ago. The very first time I went live, I videotaped the whole time sideways. Powered through it. Everybody was so sweet. I didn't know how to read comments. I didn't know how to see comments. So, everybody was trying to tell me, hey, you're sideways. I wouldn't have known how to fix it anyway, even if I would have known. So, thank you for saying that.
Jennifer says, she makes going live seem natural.
Well, that's just like the nicest compliment you can get. Do you guys like the interaction? Because really, when I was watching other people, I was watching to learn, and I didn't want any interaction with people. Like, just get on with it. That was my attitude. It's not now. Now, all the people that I watch, I've built relationships with, and we message each other, not each other, but we have had conversations outside of the lives. You get to know these people, and isn't that what life is all about at the end of the day, is connecting with people. And so hopefully I can connect.
Jennifer said, "I would much rather watch this than any TV show." Who knew?
Well, that's good. I'd rather do this than watch any TV show, which, looking back now, I had hung up my paintbrush for a couple years because I was also working full time at that same time, and I was just emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted by the time I'd get home from work. The last thing I felt like doing was picking up a paintbrush and painting. But then I quit my job and saw a couple people on Facebook, Quita Allen with All Shabbed Out, and Dion Woods with Turquoise Iris, and they were actually having an absolute blast. And I thought, wow, that's what I'm missing in my life. And truly, since that day, I have never looked back. I've picked up my paintbrush again. I went out. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of dollars I spent on just paint. And I just started buying furniture and painting. But even at that point, I didn't consider doing it as a professional business. I would post my pieces on my personal Facebook page when I was finished, and the response was just incredible. And I thought, well, shoot, why couldn't I do it professionally? If other people are doing it, why couldn't I? I was terrified because there's such a huge learning curve. I needed to learn just so much. I needed to learn social media, going live, of course, how to work a camera. I didn't even want to. Never been on Instagram. So it's been a trip. It's been quite a journey, but it's been a really, really good one. So again, I'm going to hit it with the blow dryer. I apologize. You can turn the volume down on your device if you don't want to hear this part. I think it's just been so humid in Texas. I don't recall Texas ever being like this. So hang on one second. So this paint is so awesome to work with because it does dry so quickly, but it doesn't, it's completely non-toxic. It has no VOCs. It's really heavy pigmented, so you can really water it down a lot, and it won't take the integrity of the paint away. You still get the high quality color and coverage that you get, even thinning it down. So the next step I did, I'm going to do it identical with this. So the next step I did, because I don't want to go all the way down, I don't want to go all the way down to the wood from here on out. So if I do some distressing, whatever I want to do with it, I don't want it to rub down back to the wood. So I'm going to use some wax right now. I'm going to just cover it lightly with some clear wax. I'm going to work really quickly because I'm going to paint over that. Now, I would, if you're painting, like let's say I get this piece all finished and I finish with the wax, and if I decided I didn't like the piece and I decided I wanted to repaint it right away, I would not paint right over the wax. I would actually take some mineral spirits and give it a good wipe down with the mineral spirits, and that'll remove the top wax. Because you want to make sure that your paint adheres. My nose is actually running in here. Now I probably have paint all over my face. I haven't done this much. I haven't used wax underneath my paint very often. I have a couple times and I've really liked the finish. And if this was the final coat, if this was final, I would be taking more time and making sure that I have even coverage. But this, I'm just putting it on quickly because I'm going to be painting right over it.
Susan Scroggs says hi.
Hi. Thanks for being on. Okay. So that's finished. So the next thing I'm going to do, and this was the color that I mixed. If you guys were here last night, I mixed Bohemian Blue, which is a really, really dark teal. It's not really navy, it's just a dark teal. And then I used quite a bit of mint chip, which is a really light minty color. And I mixed that with the bohemian blue, and I came up with just this gorgeous color of blue. So that was what I put on the bottom part over here, and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to carry it all the way across.
Leanne said, here in Florida, it's very hot. I do my places under a shade tree. Upside is the product dries faster.
Oh, yeah. Outside, well, here it'd dry instantly because it's probably 95. It is too hot to be out there. I just melt.
Cynthia said, love the color that you made.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, it was neat. What's her last name? Cynthia.
Weiss.
Good, good. How are you enjoying those brushes, Cynthia? She got some brushes from me. Okay, using a different brush. This is my Paint Pixie, my number 8. And this is just a small round. I'm gonna go in with this custom blue color that I created. And I'm really just gonna go around. And I'm not putting full coverage on. So if you see some white spots, that's intentional.
Cynthia said, they're fabulous. Dusty rocks.
Yes, the Dusty does rock. So these are my paint brushes. I have, these are from Debbie's Design Diary. These are synthetic. These are similar to the Dusty by Paint Pixie. These are the natural bristles, and these are synthetic. And really, it's all about what you prefer. I like to experiment with different brushes because they do give you they do work differently. They give you different looks on your pieces. And really, once you kind of start to learn your style, you know what brush works best for that particular technique. I didn't know anything about brushes. I just would pick anything up and start using. And it did the job. But then I got introduced to other ones, experimented with them, and now I have my favorites.
Susan said, what is your favorite white in the DIY collection?
Oh, all of them. I would have to say beadboard. It's probably the most versatile. It's in between the white, which White Swan, I think, is the whitest, and then vintage linen gives it a little bit of it's not really it's a creamier, maybe a little grayer tint. And so right now, all the pieces that I'm looking at, there's crinoline, which is a really creamy color. I seriously use them all. Sometimes it's really what's within reach. But I really wanted just a really nice crisp look. I didn't want any yellow in it. You know, now I could have used a gray, like a light gray. Oh, which Bobby last night, well, once I was finished with my live, I was kind of just reminiscing with Hannah about what else I could do with this. Like, I could add some colors to it, and I thought maybe a pretty light gray would be pretty. And I had mentioned that to Hannah, and she said Bobby last night said Skeleton Key was her favorite, and I actually brought it out because I thought that might be a really, really good idea. But then I ran across Faded Burlap, which, look at how cool that is. So I could do some highlighting with this. There's so many different ways I could go with this piece. It just really depends if I want the beachy look, if I want the boho look, if I want a traditional or country, rustic. It all depends really just what style you're going for. Okay. So I gotta move along. I'm yapping and I'm not getting much painting done, and at some point I need to start in with my Farm Fresh. And I don't know what point that is. Yeah.
Susan said those were the 3 I've been looking at. Thanks.
3. Oh,
the 3 whites?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I probably use beadboard the most. And then second to that is, second to beadboard is probably vintage linen. You know, but then I turn around and I've got 2 empty containers of white swan. So don't believe anything I say. It just doesn't, it's... Okay, I think that's all the further I'm going to go with this color for now. I'm going to put that lid on. I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to go in with my Farm Fresh. And I'm going to start at the top, and then I'm going to get my I'm just going to blend that right down into it. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera. I want to make sure I'm getting that side good over there.
Lisa said Farm Fresh has to be a fave.
Oh, for real. It really, there's just... Farm Fresh, you know, another one is Apothecary. But really, between the two, this Farm Fresh has been taking the lead. Now, as you can see, I'm not going 100% full coverage. And I'm going over that. Let's see. I'm going to give this a squirt. I probably shouldn't have done that, so I'm going to just get it wet. Now I'm just spritzing with my water just to move the paint around. I don't want to dip my brush again. I just want to move what I have on there already around. And you can see, you can even see it bubbling up, you know, after you get a car wash and you get it waxed and the raindrops hit it and it bubble, or the big drops form. That's kind of what's happening here with the wax. But because I'm using so much more paint than I am wax, that it'll dry right over the wax. And the wax will actually end up being more of a tooth.
Leanne said, I love the coastal beachy look. I tend to lean towards shades of green.
Yeah. Well, that's what this was originally going to start off as, but I don't know how it ended up being blue. Everything in here is blue. Except for the piece, I did a hutch the other night that was actually really far out of my zone, but it just ended up being so pretty. Okay, so I used I used too much water here, so basically I just washed the paint right off of it, which that's okay. I'm going to let this dry, and I'm just going to move over onto this piece right now while that's drying. Because last night I went in with some old 57 right here. You can't really see it, but I know it's there. And so when I go in with the old 57, I want this to be pretty dry right here. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to use my hair dryer just for a second, you guys. That's it. So now I'm going in with my old 57. And I may just leave this for tomorrow night. I'm only gonna stay on for about 45 minutes. So this is my old 57, another one of my favorites.
Leanne said, I love how it's looking so far. I remember you saying you intended it to be green. It's a gorgeous color.
Yep, that's about the way I roll. So now I'm really just blending. I'm not. The trick is it doesn't have to look exactly like the other side, but it needs to complement it. And hopefully I can achieve that. And again, I just use the water to move the paint around. I don't want to soak the piece. I'm just going to get a little bit more on there. Okay. So that's looking good. So I'm liking this. I like different depths. I like lights and darks and movement. I'm really not just a full-on solid paint color person. That just for some reason this just gets me excited. So the next step after that was the dry brushing. How are we doing on time?
You have about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So I think if I remember correctly, I didn't go back. I went in with my little Frenchie by Paint Pixie, and I did just a little shading, just a little highlighting, and so little of it that you really can't even tell. So I'm going to do, and then I get a little bit on my brush. And now I'm going to squirt that because I want it to shadow. I don't want it to. Okay, is camera picking that up? Oh, fine.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I've got a little. Okay. So just use a light hand and really just hit some areas that you'd like to highlight. And see, now I went too heavy right there, but I'm just going to go over that. soften that up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Maybe down here a little bit. And I could go in with another color. I could go in with a deep green. I could go in with some turquoise. So I'm going to smooth that out.
Leanne said, OMG, I love that shadowing.
Yeah, isn't that turning out nice? Thank you. Now it's still really different than that, but I still have another step to do. I'm just going to come down here a little bit. And you get to pick and choose. You can do as little or as much as you want. Okay. And now if I wanted to just do in there a little bit. Okay. All right, so that part is finished. So the next step, and then I will call it a night, is I'm going to dry brush, and that is simply just taking off any paint. And this has been sitting there for a little bit, so I'm just going to swipe it across here and get off anything that might be on it. That's, you know, I got a little heavy there. That's okay. So if you notice, I have not dipped my brush in anything since I painted this. I put my brush down, and now I just picked it up, and now I'm just dry brushing. I am going to go in right now, and I'm just dabbing the tip. And depending upon, you know, I can, if I want, I can just do this, or I can, you know, try to give it another look by going in opposite direction. And if there, you know, if I step back and there's an area I'm not happy with, I'll just repeat the process. I'll just go in the same order with my colors. And, you know, I'm liking this. You can still see some dark in there. You can see some dark here. Anything? Good. Okay. So what do you guys think? Is it looking beachy? Would you have stopped sooner? Okay. All right, you guys. I'm going to say that's a wrap for tonight. Probably going to work with that little spot right there a little bit. And move that around.
Leanne Ryan said gorgeous. Lisa said love in all caps. And Susan said very beachy.
Oh, good. Well, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna get this wet right here. You just can't really go wrong with it. You can.
Susan said, I want to pair Hey Sailor with bead border white swan for a nautical look.
Oh, I brought the Hey Sailor out because I'm even considering adding a little bit of this to that. We shall see, but for now, I'm gonna call it a night. But that's a great idea. So thanks for watching, you guys. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you guys do this, if you learned anything, let me know. If you do this, post a picture. I'd love to see it. And I'll be back on tomorrow, 6 o'clock. See you then.